What's up, guys? So I know, as you guys can probably tell, I haven't made a video in a while. I had to take a little break from it. Honestly, I just got kind of tired of it too. We're just making videos. I mean, things that I felt led by God to say. Then also for a while, I just kept feeling like, honestly, kind of gave up on it too. It's just like wasn't getting any traction, and then I feel like I was running out of things to say as well. I was kind of just regurgitating the same things, which kind of am gonna do in this video too. There's also some like new things I'm seeing just within my life, within my walk with God, and in my faith too. Um, Also got the raspberry cream here today. I don't know if you guys have seen it on my story. I posted this. I got had like 5 things to go for my birthday, so got this raspberry cream here today. But something I want to talk about today that I'm noticing just within myself, um, and then a lot within the church too. I would say is that the church is very. I would say the Christian culture right now, just a lot of people are very performative. And what I mean by is that they're acting in front of God and in front of church. You can play the church game all you want. You can say all the right words, but at the end of the day, um, Psalm 34:18 says that the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. And the thing with healing is I think about like surgery. In order to fix a wound, to heal a wound, you need to first look at it. It needs to be shown. You need to observe it, observe what's going on with the wound. Um, what's the damage? What is going on? How did this happen? And what should you do? What are the next steps to take to fix it? And then for a long time, I had to kind of confront myself a little bit. I asked God to like look at my heart. Look at my heart and see what was really going on in it. And for a long time, I was like kind of just like forcing trust in God, like forcing myself to trust God, and for kind of like forcing my faith a little bit. Which in your faith, there you're gonna have to force it a little bit. You're gonna have to fight for it because there are gonna be times where the enemy is trying to get you to fall. He's trying to get you to turn away from God. He's trying to get you to stop praying, stop reading your word, and you have to fight back against that. You have to keep praying, you have to keep reading your word, keep asking God to pour into you. Surround yourself with people who are going to pour into you like that. Yeah, at the end of the day, if you want real healing that the Bible describes, you need to first be honest with God with how you really feel. Um, Lately, I've been going to Celebration Church, and I love the songs there. I love the worship there. I love that the people are always jumping around. They're really excited about their faith, and I like that. But the problem is that a part of me for a long time did not actually feel that way. When I really looked at my heart, when I looked at how I really felt with God, for a long time I had this like secret like anger towards God. This secret like why, like why all this? Why did you put my life through all this? Why did you put me through all this pain that you've put me through? Why have you just like seemingly abandoned me and all this? Um, with like, you know, struggles I've been through and the pain that I've experienced. Um, I've asked God like why, like, and then there's just prayers I've had and questions about like, just history in the past and also my past and also why would He allow all these things to happen to me? Why would He allow, I don't know, for me to grow up without a dad or, to me having like close friends and then having me like kind of like having them kind of drift off a little bit. Because it wasn't like a loud, oh, we don't like you anymore. No, it was a quiet like we don't want you here anymore kind of thing. It was God stripping me of my comfort, of my reliance on friends, of reliance on people, to show me that I only need to rely on Him mostly. Not mostly, I need to rely fully on Him in order to like experience Him, to experience a deeper relationship with the Creator. And then the reason I also kind of bring up the performance thing is because if I'm being honest, when I look at a lot of the worship songs, they don't sound like real people, man. I'm gonna be completely honest. Um, And I'm not taking a shot at people's celebration. That's not what I'm doing. When I say what I'm about to say, I'm not taking a shot at Pastor Tim. I'm not taking a shot at any of the people that are there. But I feel like the worship songs that are played just in churches in general are not like they're not genuine. You know, and when the Bible says, when God says to worship in spirit, my worshipers, when Jesus says to, I think it's in the story of the Samaritan woman, the woman at the well, he says, my followers will worship God in spirit and in truth. And if we're being honest, at least if I'm being honest, I don't know about other people, at least for myself, when I sing these songs, you know, especially the one by Brandon Lake, that very famous one, I've got a reason to praise, so that one, um, maybe it's just not like my style of music, my style of worship, but that doesn't, when I sing that, it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel real. Like I don't worship that way. And then for a long time, I really didn't feel that way at all. I really, not at all, but I didn't feel that way to God. Like I wasn't happy with God. And I had to confront that in myself. Like I'm not God, I'm not happy with you. I'm angry with you because I'm confused. And I still have these questions today. Like, why does God say he's not the author of confusion, yet he makes our lives so confusing? He makes our pain so confusing. He makes what we go through so confusing. He says one thing. Why does it seem like he says one thing and the other thing seems to happen instead, you know? Um, but I think when I was able to admit to God how I was really feeling, and I'm gonna go even deeper in my prayers, it's gotten to a point in my life where in my prayers where I just started like calling God a coward. Because you know, like you're not answering my questions, you can't seem to answer anybody's questions, you can't seem to give us any answer for anything that we're going through. So I think you're a coward, God. And I think you're a liar. And I think you're too scared to answer me. Those my prayers got to that point. And but Jesus died for things like that. He suffered knowing that's what he suffered that exact pain that we go through every day. And on the cross, you know, he was forsaken by God. He quoted Psalm 22 too. My God, why have you forsaken me? You know, that was originally quoted by David. But I guarantee you, I asked someone close to me recently, do you think Jesus ever experienced any anger towards God or ever expressed that in anything? And I did not think about that. I didn't have an answer to that until I reread this verse. And then I remembered the fact that Jesus also quoted this. So I would say that in that question, there is a hint of, there is not a hint, there is anger in that. Anger in the question, why have you forsaken me? And then Psalm 88, I have like a paper here to kind of like, to kind of to kind of like help me say, give off the topic, you know, like keep myself in check. Psalm 88, 15 through 16 says, why, O Lord, do you reject me and turn your face from me? I am poor and in trouble since my youth. Actually, I honestly bet that that verse can relate to a lot of people. Maybe they might not say it out loud. They may not say it out loud or tell you outright, but I bet these people can relate to that verse a lot. Since my youth, I have been in trouble. Since my youth, I have been in pain. Since my youth, I've been troubled. I've been uh not really on the run, but it's like I've been like tormented, you know, in peril. And then Jeremiah 20 verse 7, the title of that chapter is of that section. It says Jeremiah is hated or he's laughed at. Then literally the first words are, "Oh Lord, you deceived me, and I was deceived, and I am a laughing stock." That to me doesn't sound like the modern worship songs we hear. Because in fact, I would say that modern worship songs are too safe. Yeah, you can say all the right words, but is that actually what you do? You mean that? You can say you have a reason to praise just because that's what's on, but do you mean that? And Psalm 88, I've learned is actually used as a worship, and like I don't know if because like look at Orthodox churches, but I've researched this and can Psalm 88 be used as worship? And it says yes. I googled it, it said yes, it can be used as worship. So if Psalm 88 can be used as worship, then all these songs that we're singing that we don't mean, by the way, we don't need these songs. These songs aren't helping us. Hiding our pain isn't what's helping us. Hiding our pain isn't what's healing us. Acting and performing aren't helping us. Saying all the right words to God when we don't mean that doesn't do anything. Even Jesus cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me? Because we're not abandoned by God. We're not, ever. Even in times where we have come to conclusion, or we have maybe thought in our lives that, oh, God has just turned his face from me. He doesn't care about me. He's always been there. The one person that ever experienced real abandonment was Jesus himself. God himself was abandoned by the Father just once for us. So we didn't have to feel that way ever. So even when we do think that, even when our nervous system is messing with us, even when the enemy is is berating us and telling us you've been abandoned by God, that God doesn't care about you, that you're all alone in whatever you're going through, we can remember that we didn't have to go through that because someone already did go through that. The most perfect man had to go through that for us. We don't have to be afraid that God doesn't see us in our pain, that he doesn't see that some people are lonely, some people are hurting, some people are brokenhearted, some people have questions. And it's not just questions about history or about what happened in the world's past, just about their past. They're questioning, why would God allow all my circumstances right now? Why would he allow me to have my friends taken from me? Why would he allow to have me move to a certain neighborhood? Not saying this is necessarily from my experience, but it's like, people make friends in neighborhoods and they move and they're like, I don't know this neighborhood. This is like so unfamiliar. Or some people wonder like they struggle, maybe even struggle to make friends or struggle to have a community, and they're like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? What is it about me that people don't seem to get and don't seem to understand, you know? Um, this quote by Anthony Bloom, he's a Russian Orthodox, I guess a father. I don't know his whole background, but he has a quote that says, God can save the sinner you are, but not the saint you pretend to be. And that, I guess that goes in line with healing too, because healing starts with honesty. Healing in a real relationship, real trust, real faith starts with God, with how you really feel with God. If you're angry, tell him you're angry. If you think he's a coward, tell him you think he's a coward. If you think that he's just abandoned you, that he's turned his face from you, if you feel like he's been lying to you, tell him that. I even told God that, God, if you say you're not afraid of it, so let me tell you this then. Even David in Psalm 88 said, Lord, why do you reject me? Why do you throw me down like the people of Hades, like the people, I guess that was like the awaiting place, but it was like torment, you know? Why do you turn your face from me? Why do you reject me? Why do you seem not to answer anything, any questions I have? I'm going through all this pain and you don't seem to have anything to give me for it, you know? I watched this edit. It's called We Want Truth. It's like an Orthodox Christianity edit. And it's a quote by Father John Valadez. I'm going to paraphrase it. He says, we want to know Christ crucified and resurrected, not a plastic, commercialized, and empty imitation of him. And the reason I am requoting that is because for years the church has sold us this Jesus that doesn't get us. He doesn't understand us. Like the churches claim, God doesn't want robots, but you make us worship like we're robots. You play songs that people don't mean. You make them sing lyrics that they're not even fully sure of, that they're struggling to believe. The Bible never promises like an easy life. In fact, I would say the one truth that the church is too afraid to admit is that the main point of the Christian life is to suffer. The Bible even says that many are the afflictions of the righteous. Scripture alone says it. So I would say that the reason like, and this world is in the it's in the hand of the enemy, it's in the hand of the evil one. So of course he's gonna make it harder for God's true people, not the Jews, bro. He's gonna make it the enemy is gonna make it harder for the people who are actually following God, Jesus Christ. Of course he's gonna allow. Of course, the devil, since this world is in his hand, he's gonna allow people who aren't following Jesus they seem to be elevated. Of course, he's gonna make it seem like, oh, evil people seem to be winning. Why does it seem like everything is harder for me? Because you're following God in a world that hates him. And for too long, I feel like Christianity, of course, we need to be shining our light, of course, Matthew 5:16, as it describes. But we're not trying to be seen. That's another thing for performance. You're trying to be seen. You're trying to be seen as something. And of course, we all want to be, as Christians, we're all trying to be seen as like an example of Jesus. That's literally what we're doing. We're being sanctified. Because justification, we're saved and then we're sanctified. We're being saved. I'm not Orthodox, but it's like where those who endure to the end will be saved. And the only reason you can endure to the end is because of God. This is not a works-based faith. Just let you know that. The only work that can save us is the work of Jesus Christ on the cross. That's it. Nothing else can. Um, I kind of lost my train of thought. We cannot keep continuing to act and to pretend that everything's fine when it's not. I saw this video one time, on Instagram, and it said like, if your faith isn't fun, you're not doing it right. Now, I'm not saying you can't have fun. I'm sure you guys have seen the video. I'm not saying you can't have fun as a Christian. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that as a Christian you always have to be miserable. You always have to suffer. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is though, if fun is the whole point of Christianity, then ask Jesus how it was when he was crucified. Ask Paul how it was when he was beheaded. Ask John the Baptist who went through the same thing. Ask Peter who's crucified upside down. Ask Andrew who's crucified on an X. Was that fun? Was being sawn in half fun? I'm not going to get into detail about the gruesomeness. Was being torn apart by lions fun? Is like, can we be honest? Were those fun? Were those were times where they had to face death? Were those fun? Or do you want them to just be robots and say, "Oh yeah, it was fun," when it wasn't? But they had joy in that. You know why? Because they were in their full purpose. They were dying the same way, kind of in the same aspect of Jesus. They're dying for the truth. God doesn't want robots. He doesn't want machines. He's not forcing us to follow him. He's not forcing us to be these I don't know, all the time happy people. That's not what he created. He didn't create robots. He didn't create machines. He didn't create people to just pretend like everything's fine when it's not. No. I have a wound. I have a wound that I cannot heal. I am brokenhearted. I'm crushed in spirit. There are times I feel abandoned. There are times I feel like God has just turned his face from me. There are times in my life I feel God has just been lying to me. He's deceiving me. I bet in churches today, if you were to say stuff like this, they would look at you weird. But it's like this is exactly what the prophets went through. Elijah was suicidal. I've never been suicidal, but the prophets were. So if God's allowing them to feel this, if God even allowed Jesus to feel all this, then why are we pretending? Jesus didn't even pretend. When he went to the Father, he went in the garden of Gethsemane. That wasn't performance. It wasn't, oh God, I'm like, it wasn't this whole, I have a reason to praise you. Yes, he had a reason to praise. He was God, and he knew the fullness of God and having a relationship with his Father. But he's like, God, I'm angry and frustrated. I don't think I can do this. Maybe this Chosen is not the best representation. Maybe it's not the fully biblically accurate thing, but he said that in the Chosen, in the episode of season 5, the last episode of season 5, he goes, God, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can go through what you have planned for me, what you want me to do. Even he asked for another way out. Even he begged God, like, can you please make another way, please? Can you please give me another way out of whatever pain I'm going through, or whatever pain I'm about to go through? Was that performance? Does that look like, is that the jumping up and down? Or is that you're crying out to God and you're asking him, can there be another way? Elijah even cried to God, said, God, I don't feel any better than my father's. Just end my life here. Let me die here. You can't heal if you're going to keep hiding. You can't fix a bullet wound if you're never going to show it to anybody. You can't stitch up a flesh cut if you're not going to tell anybody about it. You can't. And that's the problem with this church today. You're acting too much. You're putting on a show that a lot of people, not saying that I know this for sure, but at least I know this for me. I can't worship like that. Maybe it's just not my style, but for a long time I couldn't say those words in the songs and mean that fully. The best I can give God is how I'm really feeling and saying I still trust in you though. Even if it's a little bit. Even if you have so much anger towards him that you don't even think you can trust him, but he sees that part of you that's still holding on. He sees that part of you that still has hope. That maybe he is who he says he is. And maybe you don't understand everything that's going on in your life. Maybe you don't understand why God has put you through everything He's put you through, but you're still choosing to trust in Him. You're still choosing to have faith. Because fear already comes from the enemy. Fear comes from the devil. Fear and shame and like anxiety, they all come from the enemy. I read this quote once and it kind of simplifies it. Fear is evil, but faith is holy. So even though you don't understand God, no one fully understands God. We're never going to be able to fully understand the Father because we are human minds. I mean, sure, we're capable of a lot, both good and bad, but we're never going to be able to understand how God is three in one. How can He be a Father, Son, and a Holy Spirit all at the same time and still be one God? Job had these questions too. You think Job wasn't angry? You think Job didn't question God? He didn't curse God, but he questioned Him, and that was fine. And the reason when you might say these things to God, and he's not striking you down because he knows, because deep down he's still looking to use you. He's still looking to help you. Also, he knows that when you say these things like you're a coward, I think you're a liar. He knows that even though you're saying that, you're still choosing to trust in him. Because when you have the Spirit of God living in you, you know that you're saying that things because that's how you really feel. You can't deny that. God is not overlooking your pain. He's not overlooking how you really feel. He understands that. When you say stuff like that, he understands completely why you're saying that. Maybe you're angry. I was angry. A lot of people are angry at God. I bet a lot of people in these churches today singing these songs maybe they don't know it yet, but they're angry at God. They're frustrated at Him. And they've been for a long time. Maybe they've been praying for something that hasn't come, that they don't think is ever gonna happen. Maybe they've been quietly hoping for something that they are starting to lose hope in. Maybe they're praying for a relationship. Maybe they're hoping that someone in their family or maybe one of their friends gets saved and it's not happening. They don't see anything happening. He knows that there's going to be pain in that. He knows you're going to question him eventually. You have to get to that point because you're human. God didn't create robots. He didn't create machines to just like be full on God 20 like be following. Yes, I'm happy with it 24/7. You can still trust God, but be angry at him.